Going to Kansas City. If I come, I come.
Welcome everybody to the 5th episode of Choppin It Up with the Cleavers. My name is Emmanuel Cleaver III.
And I'm Emil Cleaver.
And ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can check us out on most places you get your podcast. Choppin It Up with the Cleavers. Subscribe. We drop something every Tuesday, a new episode. So we're going to jump right into it. Big news in the NFL, National Football League, for the entire league. One of the best wide receivers in the league, traded from the Kansas City Chiefs going to the Miami Dolphins. And a lot of people here in Kansas City are upset that Tyrek Hill is leaving. I read on social media people beating up on him, saying he's not loyal. How can he do this? I hope you have the worst seasons ever. All that. The Chiefs are going to blah, blah, blah. What do you think about that?
Well, personally, I want to say congratulations to Tyrek Hill. Thank you for all the great years you put in here.
Appreciate it.
But I'm not mad at him at all. I think the Chiefs traded him because he wanted too much money or something like that.
Yeah, he wanted more than what they were willing to give.
So, I'm happy that he got all the money that he wanted. One of the highest paid NFL players, or maybe the highest paid.
No, I think wide receiver. I think he's the highest paid wide receiver.
Yeah, so congratulations to him. I don't think that he owes the Chiefs anything. He played he gave everything he had while he was here. If he wants to move on, he can move on. He owes the Chiefs nothing. He owes the fans nothing. He gave it everything while he was on that field. So that's it.
I agree. While, I'm sad to see him go, because I think he's the best wide receiver in Kansas City Chiefs history. And I think if he stayed here longer, he would have broken every receiving record that we have. But at the end of the day, Tyrek Hill's loyalty has to be to himself and his family, not to Kansas City, not to the Chiefs organization. This is a business. And a lot of people leave the NFL with nagging injuries for the rest of their lives. It's a rough sport. So I'm all in favor of him getting as much money as he can possibly get.
Yeah. You don't know how many years you can play in this sport because it's so brutal. So I'm glad that he got everything he had. You saying he's one of the best wide receivers in Chiefs history. I think he's one of the greatest athletes that ever existed on the planet.
Dude is an athlete.
He's a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, he is.
And I'm one of those people who agree with LeBron James when he just switched teams. I don't think that he owed any team in the NBA anything, just like Tyrek doesn't. Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player of all time.
Your opinion?
One of them. He might not even be the best, but he's one of the greatest players of all time.
Absolutely.
Greatest Chicago Bull of all time. And won 6 championships with the Bulls. And after that 6th championship, they told him, "Thank you for your service, but they'll no longer be needed." That's Michael Jordan.
Shut the door.
If they can do that to Michael Jordan, they'll do that to anyone. So I don't see why fans think that the players owe that team that loyalty when the team doesn't show that same loyalty to the player. We can go down the list of great players that were traded from
Shaq in L.A.
teams that they made great. So,
well, that's the thing about it. The owners, the teams are looking out for the teams. They're not in the business of looking out for players. They're in the business of looking out for teams. So if the teams are looking out for teams, then the athletes have to look out for athletes. They have to look out for themselves. And Tyrek is doing the right thing. He's looking out for himself and his family. And we're talking about the kind of money that he got, generational wealth, stuff that can be passed down to his children and grandchildren. He could go out on the field and get hurt very first game.
Yeah. Over with.
It's a dangerous sport. So I'm sad to see him leave, because he put in some great years here in Kansas City, won a Super Bowl with them, Pro Bowl, perennial Pro Bowler, and all of this. But he had to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, I think this is one of the few times where people are siding with the big $1 million corporation. Yeah. This is a big $1 million corporation. They're doing business.
Billion.
I think the pressure needs to be put on the Chiefs. Why did they get rid of him? He was asking for too much, but like we just said, I mean, the athlete that he is, give it to him. I mean,
well, they couldn't. They gave Patrick Mahomes all that money, and so they had to. I mean, they couldn't do all that he was asking,
and they just wanted him to take a pay cut.
I don't know if it was a cut. He just didn't get what he was asking for.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get what he was asking for. But here's the thing about it. Look at it. I look at it like this. If I'm working for company A, let's say I'm going to throw out some names, even though they're not sponsoring us. If I'm working at McDonald's and they're paying me $10 an hour, and Burger King comes along and they're offering me $12 an hour, why would I stay at McDonald's? I don't owe McDonald's anything.
Same thing.
It's the same thing.
I mean, you were at that McDonald's place and you were making good burgers, good fries. I mean,
I was one of the best burger makers of all time.
You did it for them.
The fries were golden every time when I brought them up.
You killed the rushes. So, I mean, you don't owe them anything. It's time to go to this flame broil place, so-called flame broil place.
Come on, I work there. I know. I'm just saying, yeah, you're right, so-called. But anyway, so congratulations to Tyrek Hill. I think the Chiefs will still be all right. We'll still do our thing, but Tyrek Hill had to do what's best
Who's
for
going to take his place?
Tyrek. I don't know. We'll just find out. I mean, the Chiefs are picking up some stuff. They get, I think, 5 draft picks. But, I mean, they're going to
step in. The Chiefs fans want a Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Because we're at the top of the pack right now, I mean, we can't use this as a rebuilding. But, we picked up some players and all of that. So I think we might be all right. We'll see how it goes. But congratulations, Tyrek. Chiefs fans, we'll be all right.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
We'll be all right. So another news in sports, Jorge Masvidal, Kobe Covington.
We're big MMA fans, mixed
big
martial
time,
arts.
Big time. So these two fighters are in the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship.
This is an interesting story.
So Kobe Covington, let me give the background of Kobe Covington. So he was one of the top welterweights in the UFC. Very good. But they were going to cut him from the roster because he didn't, he wasn't a big fan favorite. He didn't get a lot of attention. So one day he's fighting in Brazil, fighting a Brazilian in Brazil. And he wins the fight. Who was it, Damian Maia?
Yeah, there was Damian
So
Maia.
he's fighting in Brazil. He wins the fight. He knows.
No, it's Rafael.
Rafael dos Santos, that's right. So he's about to be cut. He knows that. So after he wins, he gets on the mic and says, Brazilians are trash. It's a filthy country. And of course, the Brazilian fans are booing. They're trying to get at him. And so he makes it out. But guess what happens? Because you have all these fans that hate him now, the UFC kept him on. And so Kobe Covington continued that, talking trash when he fought Kamaru Usman, who is the welterweight champion, talking about his home country of Nigeria and talking about the people. So he fought Jorge Mazvidal, who's Cuban. And they used to be good friends. But
they didn't used to be good friends. They were best friends.
Yeah.
They were best friends. I mean, and Jorge Masvidal has been around the fight game a long time. So he had kind of been more successful as Kobe was coming up. So Kobe used to stay with him. They used to live together. They were roommates, best friends for a long time.
Well, let's say Jorge Masvidal, I don't know if he was more successful. He had been around a long. He was more popular.
Yeah.
He's more Kobe's still, even though he's a hated guy, he's still the second best welterweight in the world in mixed martial arts. But they get into it, they fall out, and then they finally have the UFC sets up a fight. Jorge Masvidal, Kobe Covington.
Yeah. After years of being friends, they fall out because of Kobe's, little gimmick.
Yeah, talking about people's race and religion and all this. So,
and behind the scenes, by the way, people say that Kobe Covington is probably one of the quietest people, doesn't say anything. So he's really stepping out of his personality.
It's supposed to be an act. I mean, a lot of people that know him said this is all an act. But his act is highly offensive. It is worth it because people want to see him get beat up. They want to see him lose. But he says some off-the-wall stuff.
Crazy stuff.
I mean, when you talk about Brazil's a trash country. So lead up to the fight, or even, all this time, Kobe Covington starts trashing. He starts talking about Jorge Masvidal's kids and all of this. And so they fight. Colby Covington wins. I mean, he's the second best welterweight next to the champion Kamaru Usman. But Jorge Masvidal
we didn't give the background on Jorge Masvidal. So Jorge Masvidal, before he became a mixed martial artist, he was a street fighter. So you can go on YouTube and watch his old street fights. He came up under Kimbo Slice. Kimbo Slice is a legendary street fighter.
Yeah.
Backyard brawls. You can go on YouTube and watch Kimbo Slice's street fight. So Jorge Masvidal came up under that. He was a street guy.
Street fighter.
He was a street fighter.
He's a straight up fighter.
And he's a straight up fighter, and he's kind of raised with that street mentality. So he came up under Kimbo Slice, never lost a street fight. So he loses the fight. So tell him what happened.
So he loses the fight to Colby Covington, but Jorge's like, this thing isn't over. This is beyond.
Can't talk about
fighting.
My kids and
I'm not going to let you get away with that. So he's like, if I see you on the street, and they're both in Miami, the Miami area. So he's like, if I see you on the streets, it's on. Colby Covington's at a restaurant in Miami, restaurant. Chilling. He posted online, so Jorge Masvidal shows up
in a hoodie.
And so he's not seen. He sneaks up on him, hits him, apparently. We don't have all the detail. Okay, 3 or 4 times. Allegedly, he knocked out Colby Covington's teeth. The police come. Jorge Masvidal is eventually arrested. I don't think he's arrested that night, but they charged him with assault. So what's going on around online? A lot of UFC fighters, a lot of MMA fighters, period, are saying, some are saying, Jorge, I would have done the right thing. You don't talk about, there's certain things you don't talk about. You don't talk about someone's race. You don't talk about someone's nationality. You don't talk about someone's religion, nor you talk about their family. Colby Covington has violated all of those. And so there are a lot of fighters. Jorge Masvidal is not the only one that wants to get at him. There's another fighter out of Louisiana, Dustin Poirier. There are a bunch.
A couple, actually.
Yeah, Fabricio Verdum, who's Brazilian. And so a lot of people are saying, I can see, I can get on team Jorge sneaking up on him.
But you have to say a lot of MMA fighters, Colby ended up pressing charges against Jorge Masvidal. And that's where MMA fighters are drawing the line. A lot of MMA fighters don't believe that you should press charges. You're a fighter. Another MMA fighter comes up to you. If he beats you in a street fight, it's the same thing as in the cage. I mean, it's over with. You don't have to press charges. You're a fighter.
Yeah, it'd be different if he wasn't a fighter.
Obviously, most people don't agree with that. I mean, that's a kind of different mentality. But a lot of fighters online are talking about it and saying that he got what he deserved, actually.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that he was right in doing that, beating up, sneaking up on him.
He was definitely wrong.
I certainly, I think Colby Covington crossed the line. So my question has always been, why doesn't the UFC stop him? Why doesn't the UFC? I know there's trash talk in boxing and MMA, but I think there's a line that the organizations have to say, you can't cross this line.
Yeah.
And the UFC always says, this is a fight. Yeah, so, they don't care what the people say. You can call somebody, make fun of the race, religion, and all of that. It happened, with Habib Nurmagomedov and
Conor McGregor,
who also got arrested recently again. But it was the same thing. So I personally think that it's up to the organizations, UFC, Bellator. You don't see that much in Bellator or in some of the other MMA promotions, especially in ONE FC. They don't allow that.
They don't allow any of that.
They don't allow it at ONE FC. But the UFC, you can say whatever you want.
ONE FC is in Japan where they're...
No, it's Singapore. Singapore.
I thought it was out of Japan.
No, it's in Singapore. ONE FC is in Singapore.
But they pretty much cover all of Asia.
Yeah.
Promotion.
Yeah, it's the largest Asian MMA organization.
Well, they have a lot more honor over there.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's more about honor.
It's more about
where
honor.
The UFC, it's about selling tickets. You don't care. You can say whatever you want. They want you to build it up, so they let folk like Conor throw dollies at buses and beat up old men, and they don't care. Whereas in other sports, if a lot of people did what Conor McGregor has done, they would have been suspended or kicked out of the league, especially if they were black. But UFC lets Conor McGregor get away with whatever he wants because he's a big draw.
Because most of you all don't know any of the names we said, but you probably have heard of Conor McGregor.
You have definitely heard of Conor McGregor. And so they keep it going. But, it's happened before. I remember Ali and Frazier, where a line was crossed. Jim Brown, the great running back, Jim Brown said that he told Muhammad Ali, you crossed the line because you had here this light-skinned black person fighting a dark-skinned black person, and he's calling him ugly. The black dark skin is being called ugly.
Called him a gorilla.
Called him a gorilla. And Jim Brown was told Muhammad Ali, and this is at least what Jim Brown says, that you crossed the line, that you've gone too far.
Muhammad Ali is the greatest, but I'm going to have to say he did cross the line. He did. Because Joe Frazier wasn't a sellout or any of that, but he did cross the line. It happens, and fighters do get in fights. Mike Tyson, who was that he gave that black eye?
Mitch Green.
Mitch Green.
Yeah,
gave him the biggest black eye you ever want to see.
Yeah, but he didn't fall.
No, he didn't fall. But these are fighters. I guess you still shouldn't be doing that. But
right. But I think that was a little different than. I mean, it was different because it was like they were squaring up. They confronted each other. So with Kobe and Jorge snuck him where he didn't see it. So
they allow it in fighting too. I mean, I think it was not too long ago one of the boxers was talking about, was it Adrian Broner?
Oh yeah, Adrian Broner
slept with his opponent's girlfriend.
Yeah, he's gone a little far too much, saying he was the can man. You remember that?
Yeah, beating up all Mexicans. That's
Mexicans, Puerto Ricans. Yeah, so he's gone.
Trash talking has gone too far in mixed martial arts. But.
I mean, it happens online. The different. I mean, people talk a lot of trash online that they wouldn't talk in person. Because you can be a typist gangster.
Let's talk about that next week. Just
a social media gangster where you feel bold enough. Because you're behind, you're on your phone. The person you're talking about doesn't see you. And I see on social media a lot of folk just trashing athletes or entertainers. I mean, like going at them. I'm like, man, these are real people. And, I mean,
for no reason.
And you wouldn't say it to them in their face. Not with some distance between you and them.
Yeah.
And you've seen that, which fans go too far in basketball. The Malice in the Palace being the most famous one. Detroit Pistons and Indiana. Have you seen that documentary?
Of course. Yeah, that was a good documentary.
Man, I felt sorry for Jermaine O'Neal. If you didn't know, it's a big fight in Detroit, Auburn, where it's Auburn Hills, where the Detroit Pistons play. Wallace got into it with Meta World Peace.
Yeah, no, Stevens came in later.
Yeah, Meta World Peace, and a big fight, and so they broke it up on the court. And as Meta World Peace he's lying on the table, the announcer's table, and somebody throws some ice water at him. He goes up in the stands and he starts fighting.
Yeah, people do that now. I mean, throwing stuff at athletes.
Yeah.
This broke out into a big brawl.
They call it the Malice at the Palace.
Yeah, some of those fans got they got it.
You talk about some 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", world-class athlete, and those cats have been probably in the stands, been drinking. Jermaine O'Neal, I mean, he laid one out. Yeah, but I like he went to court and proved to the NBA that what he did was justified.
Yep.
But the NBA never recognized it. They never acknowledged it. I felt sorry from when I watched that story because the team broke up. They were a championship caliber team, and the team broke up. But it happened. So
sports and sports fans.
Yeah, but you even see that in Little League. Where they're running out trying to fight refs.
Just say it about the MMA fighters because parents are fighting. I mean,
parents fighting refs, parents fighting other parents,
brawls,
and all of that.
Some brawls.
Yeah, you made the wrong call. That's crazy. You're gonna sit up and fight because of a bad call.
Game, people.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Just a sport.
Yeah. Anybody who's
back
played
to Tyrek. I mean, people trashing Tyrek. Oh, I mean, it went from you're a traitor to I hope you have a terrible season to some very racist things. Yeah.
that racism
goes
comes
to racist
in
quick.
Yeah, Tyrek is cool with folk until he does something they don't like. Then they mention his race.
Yeah.
He's race neutral.
When he's running those touchdowns, he's race neutral. As soon as he does something they don't like, man.
Yeah,
the racists that don't like
So I think the bottom line is I mean,
calm down with the sports.
United States is a pretty violent country. I mean, we're of all the developed countries in the world, we're among.
Turn your phone off.
Yeah, the most violent. That was a timer. So we like to fight a lot. That's the thing. You know, maybe in schools we need to teach conflict resolution in every single school. How do you resolve conflict without going at somebody? Once you start the name calling and crossing lines, you take it to that level where something's got to happen. And I think our schools need to teach conflict resolution. We can't assume that this is something that kids know.
Of course not.
The kids know.
With social media, you can say anything and get away with it.
Yeah.
You can be tough online.
Yeah, a lot of tough folk online.
Anonymously.
A lot of tough folk online.
I'm saying we need to have an episode on that.
On what?
Social media gangsters.
It's a bunch of them.
Self-righteous social media thugs and the self-righteous people too on social media. Now we gonna get off, but yeah, the self-righteous people. Oh, I would never do something like that. I can't believe that they would do something like that. Let's cancel this person. They said this.
Yeah. So you're talking about that, going back to that Dave Chappelle, I think we talked about that in episode 1. Come to find out, it wasn't really even low-income housing.
Yeah.
I mean, so people jump on the bandwagon, they hear something, they go at it, start calling people all kinds of names and all of that.
Sell out.
Yeah.
I was reading online. I'll never listen to Dave Chappelle again.
That's crazy.
Just off of a headline.
And didn't even get all the facts. Well, the other big news was the Senate hearing, Ketanji Brown Jackson, and I have to say it was rough. A lot of folk attacking, saying that her record indicates she's soft on crime, but I like it. She was so calm, explaining folk. It's almost as if she was explaining things to people like, I don't know if you all really know the law like I do. She didn't say that, but she had to break stuff down slowly, carefully. As I was watching it, and some of those senators, they were saying some outlandish things and, attacking her. But I was thinking, man, she needs an anger translator. Like, you remember Key and Peele used to have the anger translator? So I was like, man, yeah. Luther was Obama's anger translator. I'm like, man, if she had an anger translator, the anger translators be like, y'all can't do what I've done. You're privileged. You haven't had to work as hard as I've had to work and still get here. But, I appreciated Cory Booker. He broke it down. He gave a speech saying that, as a black woman, she basically had to work harder than everyone else. And the only way a black woman is going to get to where Judge Brown is not because of some connections that she might have or anything like that. It's because she worked hard. And if you look at her credentials, it's pretty impressive. So hang in there. We can't wait to see you on the Supreme Court.
Eventually she's
History.
voted in.
History. But the thing about it is, a lot of those senators, because they want to run for president, that's what it boils down to. That's why they made those speeches. They're like, hey, America, look at me. I'm saying something. I don't like her. So if you don't like her either, you can like me. That's basically what they were doing, just trying to get on TV. Some of it was just ridiculous.
The children's book.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then they were asking her about critical race theory, and she's like, that stuff doesn't come really to the court like you think it does. Maybe. I wish when they asked some of those things and she broke it down, it's like her anger translator probably would have said, hey, you all need to read some books. We talked about reading in every episode. Again, to run for office, it needs to be some tests.
Yeah, I think so. Some type of test.
Got to be some tests, because these folk are just saying and doing any and everything. So we'll stay tuned for this. What goes
happens.
on. We know. She should
next week. It'll probably be good.
She should go through. So and that'll be historic. First African American woman on the highest court in the land. I don't even think, when things like this happen, I don't think there are some groups that really understand how significant that is. When we have to say the first, And so, and what that means to the African American community, to see somebody like her in a high office like that, or Barack Obama, or mayors, or senators. Man, why does this thing keep doing that?
Yeah, you're supposed to turn it off.
Yeah.
For the podcast.
So, all right. But now the NCAA tournament is still going on.
Still going on. By the time this
upsets.
comes out, it'll be over.
Yeah. But
So,
some upsets. Gonzaga, big upset. But we're going to talk about the best last second shots
of the tournament
in the NCAA history. So you want to go first? I think I went first last time. So what's your top 5?
So my top 5, it's a good one.
All right.
So number 5, I'm gonna have to go with Tyus Etney.
Man,
MU and UCLA.
Yep.
The distance of the court.
Come on, MU.
The distance of the court went behind his back.
Come on, MU.
And then made a layup. Game over.
Yeah.
I think it was in the regionals, man. So Tyus Etney, UCLA. I believe they went on to win it that year.
They did. They went on to win it.
They went on to win it.
They went on to win
MU
it.
almost stopped them. We almost had almost stopped.
Come on, that's the whole thing. That's why that thing is in my top 5 as well. For you to go the length of the court, come on.
That's one of the worst things you could do in basketball. Let someone go the length of the court and lay it up.
Well, he didn't lay it up, but it wasn't a
He
layup.
was a little dipsy dude. Whatever.
It was too. He got too close to the basket.
He
got too close to the basket.
So, all right, number 4, I'm gonna have to go with MJ. MJ shot. North Carolina, he had that game winner with 15 seconds left, kind of springboard his career. He became Michael Jordan after that, Air Jordan.
He wasn't the star of the team that year.
He wasn't the star of the team.
That
James
year.
Worthy.
Sam Perkins was.
Sam Perkins, James Worthy, they were the big stars. He was a freshman, but he stepped up and hit that big shot, and that kind of sent him on his way. So, number 3, I'm going to have to go with Keith Smart.
I thought about that one long and hard.
Indiana Hoosiers.
I thought about
in
that
the
one.
corner. He hit that 3, the game winner, beating Syracuse. Syracuse was at a tough team that year too.
That was that Sherman Douglas year. Sherman Douglas and Derek Coleman.
That was Cycli and Coleman.
Yeah.
Sherman
Douglas was the point.
Yeah. So I mean, they had a good team, but they pulled it off.
Man.
So Keith Smart. That's number 3. Number 2. Man, this is one of the great. I mean, I almost had this one number 1, but Lorenzo Charles, North Carolina State against Houston. Shot goes up the last second, air ball.
Man,
Lorenzo Charles right in the right spot, catches it and dunks it in for the game winner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great.
They show that every year. They show that every year.
Great way to win a game. I mean, your teammate shoots an air ball, and you catch it. Dunk it in, game's over, national champions.
That's a great game. All right, so what's number 1?
Number 1, I got to give it to him. I did not like him as a player. He's one of the greatest college players of all time, but Christian Laettner, that last second shot. They threw it the distance of the court.
Grant Hill threw it in.
Perfect pass to Christian Laettner on the other end at the free throw line. Christian Laettner did a little fake. Turned around,
whack him.
Game's over, man.
Man,
I mean, that's another no-no. I mean, they threw it from one end of the court
that was bad defense
to the other, and you let this man catch it in a pile of defenders.
Well, yeah, and
they were all around him.
That was against Kentucky, so it put the game in overtime.
Yeah,
to go to the Final Four.
Yeah,
After that, Duke took over. In overtime. So, okay, that's a good list. And I have some of those on there, different order. But I know I always like to throw an honorable mention in there. I'm thinking Mario Chalmers for you KU fans, 3-pointer with 2.1 seconds to go against Memphis in 2008.
Big shot.
And sent the game into overtime. No, hold up. The Duke game didn't go over to overtime. Yeah, it did. So, Mario Chalmers, the Duke game. Look it up. Duke in Kentucky. In overtime is when, so look it up while I do my list. So Mario Chalmers, 3-pointer, 2.1 seconds against Memphis in 2008, sends the game into overtime, and KU would eventually go on and win the game and go on and they're national champions. So that's an honorable mention. Number 5 is UConn against Washington. And this was in 1998. And this was the regional semifinals. So it's just a few seconds to go. UConn had the ball. Washington's up by 1 point. And so UConn puts the ball up. They miss. They get the rebound again, miss. And I don't know how many times they missed and rebounded. But finally, Richard Hamilton rebounded the ball, shot a fadeaway to win the game. Bucket. And so that was a big time shot. Again, that's a no-no. I guess a lot of these last second shots are no-nos because UConn got a bunch of different rebounds. You supposed to, defense is the completion, rebounding is the completion of defense. But UConn got the rebound. Eventually, Rip Hamilton got it and hit it. Yeah. That's what I said.
You said it was in overtime, though.
No, I thought that. Which one?
It might have been in overtime, but it was a game winner. No, I'm talking about Christian Laettner.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't. It was in overtime, but I think it was the game winner. So that's my number 5. Richard Hamilton, UConn beating Washington.
Rip.
Richard,
they call him Rip. That's
Rip.
what I just said.
Yeah, but I just said his name is Richard.
I know. I just said Rip.
Okay. I thought you said Rick. Ooh. Okay, number 5. That's number 5. Number 4, been mentioned already. Tyus Edney dribbled the length of the court, 4.8 seconds to go, beating MU. And UCLA would eventually go on to win gold. But, yeah, that was another no-no.
Yeah.
Can't let him dribble the length of the court.
Just
Number
bad
3.
defense.
Number 3, I have that shot, Duke beating Kentucky in overtime. So it was in overtime, but eventually they would go on to the Final Four. Grant Hill throw. Maybe Grant Hill could have played quarterback. His father played football.
It's a perfect pass.
He threw it, hit Christian Laettner. I don't even know how they should have known that it was going to Christian Laettner. Anyway, he turns around, hits the game winner, bucket. Now, my 2 number 1 spots are those that were won in the championship game. That's why they're the best. 2016, Villanova beat the mighty, mighty North Carolina Tar Heels. This was in 2016. So Chris Jenkins, he throws it inbounds to the point guard who took it about to the NBA 3 line. So he also took it, not the complete length of the court, but he took it down court and then just simply flipped it back to Chris Jenkins, who was trailing him. He hit the 3, game winner, Villanova. They weren't supposed to win. Villanova, national champions. Yeah, the 2 championships they won, they weren't supposed to win. The other one against Georgetown. But it was a simple play. He just drove it, flipped it back to the trailer, bucket. Number 1 is the shot that they show every single year. This is where Jim Valvano and his team won. He's running around the court afterwards,
going crazy,
looking for somebody to hug. North Carolina, they were a 10 seed, and they beat Houston, Spy Slamma Jamma. And that's another game where the best team in college basketball didn't win the championship.
Because they had 2 Hall of Famers on that team. Yeah. 2 NBA Hall of Famers.
Yeah, no. That Spy Slamma Jamma Houston team, one of the best of all time, but it's one or done.
Couldn't do it.
And last second, Lorenzo Charles put the game winner back in after a missed shot. And North Carolina, but he had to put it up. It wasn't like he was a bad shooter. Yeah, he's just the last second. But and even if you remember when Lorenzo Charles got it and he dunked it in, if you look at it, I'm sure they showed it this year. He didn't even know. He was like holding his hand back like, okay, I don't even know if he was quite sure if he got it in time, but they won it. North Carolina State, national champions. Those are some of the best last second shots in NCAA tournament history. So I'm sure we missed some of your favorites. There's some. I remember Danny Ainge hit a big shot, game winner back in the day. And there are a bunch of them.
Yeah, a couple others.
Share your favorite last second shot.
Let us know.
NCAA tournament. Let us know what we left off.
Be sure to subscribe.
Subscribe to Chopping It Up with the Cleavers on YouTube. Every Tuesday we drop a new episode. Check us out. Most places you get your podcast.
We'll be back next week.
That's a wrap. Peace out.
I'm one of the models. Here I am. I come. That's where I'm from.